Bel Air Beach Hotel and Seven Seas Water St. Maarten are also proud partners of this program. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the program. This is Now You Know, and I want to thank you so much for joining me today. Our educators and former educators, where are they now? An anthropologist by profession, he was the president of our university for 3 years. After Irma, I believe, while he tried to stick it out here, he was offered an opportunity off island. But he is back home for a little stint, and I'm so happy to be sitting with him today. Dr. Francio Guadeloupe is my guest, and we will be talking to Dr. Guadeloupe about St. Maarten, the university, and what should or could our powers that be doing to improve our educational system. We will also be talking to him about what he has been doing now and how he is keeping himself busy since leaving the island, and his past vision for the university and what his plans are, what would he like to see at the university. Now, anthropology is the study of what makes us human, the study of human societies and cultural and their development. How he got to the university, I don't know, but we'll find out this evening. Dr. Guadeloupe, thank you. It's so good to have you here.
No, thank you. Thank you. It's been a while. And
Welcome back. Yeah, yes, yeah. It has been a while. Yeah, and yes, you have been missed. Okay.
No, that's good to hear and good to know. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now, talk to us. We're going to start off first with what have you been doing since you left us back in 2017?
What I've been doing? Well, I went back to the University of Amsterdam, so I'm an associate professor there, and I teach and I chair research projects, and I work as a senior researcher at one of the institutes of the Royal Academy of Sciences. The one I work for is called the Koninklijk Instituut voor Taal, Land en Volkenkunde. In English, you would translate it roughly as the Royal Netherlands Institute for Southeast Asian and Caribbean Studies. Okay. There, I'm chairing a project on climate challenges, so how the 6 islands can cope with the climatical changes we're dealing with. And at the University of Amsterdam, I am a project leader of a large project that looks at Europe, to rethink Europe and recognize that Europe cannot be without what took place here in the colonies. But were colonies, but after the statute it changed, and how are we now thinking about European citizenship as not only in Europe proper, but also in the Pacific and in the Caribbean, because probably your parents were already Dutch citizens and your grandparents were already Dutch citizens. So when you think about Dutch citizenship, you shouldn't think about one phenotype alone or one culture alone. You have to think Dutch citizenship as a pluricultural affair and a polyethnic affair.
Okay, interesting. Because when we think about our ethnicity and we think about the Netherlands, I've got it right, the Netherlands. We are so used to saying Holland, but the Netherlands. It seems that we have always been and we will always be like second-class citizens. But off camera, you were telling us that certain parts in the Netherlands, they feel the same way.
Yeah, it was always
they are considered. There's always a line being drawn.
Correct. It was a large emancipatory project. So what took place in this part of the world, the colonialism and making people feel and treat them as though they were second-class citizens, that also took place in the Netherlands up until the 1960s. If you were Catholic Dutch, there were certain high-ranking positions that you did not occupy in places like Limburg and Brabant and so forth. So that is still part of the Netherlands, and that large emancipatory struggle, the struggle of the Caribbean, is also part of that struggle. So I think you have to think the struggle globally. No one oppresses persons outside if they're not oppressing internally as well. And that was the case in the Netherlands, and I think the emancipatory struggle is still there. Our ethnicity is Caribbean. People belong to a nation, but a nation is not your citizenship. Your citizenship is something else. So citizens, you're Dutch. Nationally, you're St. Maarten. Ethnically, you're Caribbean or West Indian.
Okay. Let's move on a little bit. We'll talk about, whenever I see you, I will always see you at the University of St. Maarten.
Nice.
And I think that you made strides more than anyone else before you because you were responsible for us becoming accredited.
Yeah.
We got our accreditation under your leadership. And as I said earlier, you were missed. So when we talk about the university, I know that is your baby still, no matter if you're not there right now.
Yeah.
But talk to us about where do you see the university going, and improving our educational system, our higher learning?
Yeah. Well, there's two things. When I was president here, I felt it was important that you had an upliftment of everyone. So therefore, I thought at least you must have one person with an associate degree.
I'll never forget
in a
that.
household, because then you have a vision. That's where you're moving to. You have a new president. There is a new idea of making the university more academic, more scholarly, but that should not be forgotten. The upliftment of everyone. I think that will continue to matter. As far as academics is concerned, and this is one of the reasons why I'm here next to vacationing, is that we're busy with a project to have 9 professors come and teach courses free of charge, international professors, at the University of St. Martin. So it starts next year, January, in which a professor from the Technical University Delft, Ellen van Buren, will be here to speak about urban management in uncertain times. So she will be here. She's a world-renowned professor who teaches in Japan and all over the globe, but she's coming to USM, UVI to teach, and I will also be here in January, and I will also teach a course on anthropologies of Black Atlantic, to understand that one can be Black without being racist or without having to look down on others, but also to just enjoy the fact that you're part of people who survived slavery, survived after slavery, and now are thriving and should tell their children, you can achieve everything that anyone achieved.
Exactly.
And recognizing the multi-ethnic situation that is St. Martin, and lavish in that. Enjoy it and see it as your strength, and now say, okay, some things were done in the past that were not how they should have been done, but now we're grown up, let's see how we will actually take this country and move it forward together.
Right. Okay. Dr. Guadeloupe, when we talk about the university, do you see yourself coming back and contributing more and have a more active role in the university?
Well, I would like to. I recognize that how I came to USM was I was
Talk to us. Tell us how.
on a tube, a metro in Amsterdam, and Valerie Pantoflet, she said, hey, I know you, you're from... So I said, yes, I'm from St. Martin. She said, I know you're doing all kinds of things. I had a book out, and I was with former Prime Minister Libbers, and there was all kinds of meetings. She says, but what about the place that gave you your scholarship? And I said, that's a very good question. She said, no, we need you to come back because St. Martin is the place that gave you a scholarship. You didn't begin here, you began on Aruba, but you lived here. Here you got your scholarship. So I said, this is true. I have a year to finish a project which I was busy with. And I said, after that year, I will take contact and I will come to St. Martin. Okay. And so said, so done. I came to St. Martin. It was good.
You're a man of your word.
No, the team was wonderful. I mean, we worked hard. Everyone felt that the USM could not be accredited. People still say it's not accredited, but we got a center accreditation, we got a business accreditation and a hospitality accreditation, so that anyone who took the higher national diploma, which is the accreditation, a UK accreditation, could easily go for a year to the UK and gain their bachelor's degree. So they had 3 years done with that higher national diploma. They could also go to the Netherlands with a higher national diploma and take a year or 2 years and also get their bachelor's degree. So that was done, and then there was a cooperation with UVI to make sure that when you say a university, you have to give bachelor's and master's degrees. Now the USM gives bachelor's and master's degrees as a campus of UVI. That's what it's called, UVI at USM. This was done, and this was a wonderful achievement. And then there was Danny Ramchandani, who I think people should not forget. He was busy saying, we are going to create campuses. We want to revamp Front Street, because I remember as a teenager, every Friday we went to Front Street, and we thought we were very cool. We were young. We were cool. So we were on Front Street.
The Reuter Plain is where everyone hung out?
Exactly. We thought that was cool.
Which is the square, for those who don't know the Reuter Plain.
Correct. So the idea was to build campuses, to involve the community and build the USM further. Now, of course, the hurricane happened, and then you had COVID. And now I think is the time to go back to that vision. I met Danny briefly, and he's still committed to it. So I think that is what is needed, that push. I was in St. Thomas before I came to St. Martin, and they said, if that can happen, St. Martin will be the place where people come to. I mean, there was, yesterday on the French side, I was at the Qualici Festival. That's a brilliant festival.
Yeah.
I think we should enjoy what we have, and start saying, okay, how do you improve it? How do you improve your product, which is St. Martin? But more importantly, and that's your main resource, how do you improve your human capital? The people here. How do you make sure that they can climb?
Right.
My mother worked at Chesterfield's. Everyone knows her behind the cashier for many years. I climbed a bit. My sister climbed a bit. She does operations in the hospital on St. Martin. That has to be possible for everyone. And I think that's what a president does. So where are we? Where are we going? Everyone has to go along.
Exactly. So if you build it, they will come.
If you build it, they will come. Okay. This was the guarantee of UVI.
Right.
These things are built. All these students from the wider Caribbean. The U.S. is difficult to get into. St. Martin is easy to get into, and it has the festival life and the cosmopolitan life that a young person who lives in Dominica or Antigua or St. Lucia
can enjoy.
You would come to St. Martin to study, because it's a place. What you need is the dorms, and you need to make sure that you have it well put together. So with the new president, we're trying to think that, and therefore I'm assisting him in that endeavor.
Okay. When I drive down to the Coopercoy area, and you see the AUC, the American University of the Caribbean, where the doctors are.
Correct,
That is a whole city by itself.
That's a whole city by itself.
And you can, I mean, a hotel has even been converted into apartments because there are so many students.
Correct.
So when you say that when you build it, if you build it, they will come, I think we can do that.
Correct. They will come.
Are you willing to lead that, Dr. Guadeloupe?
Well, I'm not the president right now. The president is
but you've been there.
I was there. So therefore I'm saying I will assist Antonio Carmona Baez in his leadership role right now at the university to get these things done. And from he knows the commitment of the University of Amsterdam, the KITV, the University of Leiden, Delft Technical University. All of us were committed to actually making this work. And you have people in the community that are there, that want to do it. And I think...
Such as Danny. Danny. Okay. Have you met with Dr. Baez?
I've met with Dr. Baez. We had lunch, we spoke. And every president has a different signature. So his signature is a vision, he's saying. I want to make this a premier university that does academic work, scientific work, and that can be part of the conversation of the Caribbean. I think that's a worthwhile goal to do so. And he assured me that other part, whereby everyone comes together and that each one is one. So not that some people are three and other people are one. Each one is one. That vision remains part of it. And if you can do that, then you're busy with things like, I don't even like the word, I would say more autonomy, building yourself. I don't like the word sovereignty and so forth, but I like autonomy. You're building yourself, because then everyone who's looking around can say, of course, I can climb. And all the hotels that St. Martin has, there should be people there who are in the management position, who have lived here all their lives or lived here long enough to know, to say, hey, listen, you're looking for a car, a rental car. I have someone who can rent you that car. listen, there is a party going on there, because people are coming for experience. The new kind of tourism is experience tourism. They're not only coming for the beaches far away, they want to experience the life. They want to be able to say,
as well, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I have a relationship with someone there. And St. Martin is, again, a cosmopolitan island.
Yeah.
People love that.
Okay. Dr. Guadeloupe, talking about hotels, tourism, hospitality.
Yeah.
Do we need a hotel school?
I do think you definitely need
because
a
it's
hotel
our only
school.
economy at this point. We still are under a one-pillar economy.
Yeah, correct. I do think you need a hotel school. I was speaking to Claret Conner about this. I said it's important. The accreditation was done for the hospitality program those many years ago. Let's revamp it. Let's make sure that we tell youngsters and older persons, this is a profession for you. There's nothing wrong with serving. You can serve with dignity. Because by serving someone, you're teaching someone a particular kind of ethics.
Right.
If people are Christian in this country, they recognize that the Christ person was there to serve. Muhammad was there to serve. Krishna was there to serve.
And it doesn't mean because you start as a server that you can't climb the ladder.
Of course you can climb. Of course you can climb.
You know what I mean?
But everything you do with dignity.
Exactly.
I've met many persons who did housekeeping, and they would bring sweets and so forth that they could bring home. Some kids, with the first books they read were the books that their mothers who were housekeepers brought home.
Exactly.
These are important things, and these things should not be forgotten. And therefore, when these men are doing the job, they're doing it with dignity. And therefore, any management of a hotel has to say, everyone in this chain, you have to treat with respect when you come to this island. That's what it's about. Yeah.
Okay. While you were there, as you said, you had a vision, and everybody has their own vision.
Yeah.
And you still want to see the campus built. How close, do you have any idea how close we are to actually working with government to getting that piece of property, that piece of land to build campuses?
Yeah. Well, what I understood, and this is speaking to someone like Robert Judd, who just dropped me here, who's a former banker, now at the USM doing the finance. All that's needed is a plan. A plan, once again, of, okay, this is where we're heading to. And I think the management of USM will create that plan to say, this is where we're heading to. Again, I just came from St. Thomas, where they have plans to build a hotel, a university building a hotel, because they said it's important. But they recognize that what St. Martin has, the U.S. Virgin Islands does not yet have.
Okay.
That is the fact that you have more safety. I mean, there's
there's a lot of crime over there. Yeah, okay.
You have far more safety here. Yeah. And you have a season of different things happening. St. Martin's Carnival is a carnival everyone comes to. That carnival. Yeah. St. Martin's
COVID and no COVID
is it. So these different things that you have to build it out. And again, it's about experience tourism. I know that Clara Reyes is busy trying to think about culture. Traditional culture, what it's called, is part of this. But you also have, and I've seen some people like Sharissa Piper from St. Martin and Arlene Halley, they're busy with yoga and so forth. There are people who are looking for vacations where there's mindfulness, where you can experience things. Try and do some yoga up on the hillsides of St. Martin. Now this, so that when people leave, come here, they think, okay, I'm coming here to relax, to understand the world differently, understand how I deal with ethnicities and the climate and the environment differently. That's what it's about. So therefore, the vision of USM has to be part of the vision of the wider politics of St. Martin. Where are you taking this country in the coming 5 to 10 years? And then the population can see, did you take us there? Like the population had to see when I was president, are you really doing what you say you're doing? That's accountability. And anyone who's in a leadership position should have no problem with accountability. They should say, this is the plan, this is where I'm taking you. These are perhaps the hiccups I had. I had to go this way, but now we're going here again, because here's where this is for you. A leader is someone who serves the community. That's what a leader is at its best. I remember in Papua they said the chief is the one who eats the stale pork.
Okay.
This was the leader,
but
after everyone ate, then I will eat. And his or her power was about making sure everyone grew. And then the others would say, no, you shouldn't eat a stale pork. Here's a piece of my pork and so on. But it's based upon serving. That's what leadership is about. And vision.
From your personal perspective and your, how would I say, your experience, you're in the Netherlands, so you're out, so you can look in and see how the island is doing. What would be your idea for extending our tourist season? It starts in probably October, sometime November, and it cuts off right after Carnival. But I think that it can be extended. Do you have any ideas on how we can extend it?
Of course it can be extended. Because, of course, after May, you get a season in which you have many potential visitors from Europe, the Netherlands, and so forth. That's the moment they are ready to travel. That's the moment you should be able to say, okay, these persons we want in. But then you have to have a program and bring them in. I saw that there's many things happening in the summer, but that has to be a program in which you're bringing them in. Since people in the Netherlands and Belgium and so forth, they are busy saying, we're busy with the environment. So which means the program that you bring them in has to be an environmentally sensitive program. But you can bring them in because people who live in, let's say, a place like Venlo or a place like Groningen or Amsterdam, Rotterdam, they come to a place where St. Martiners also can speak English, they speak Dutch, so they're interested in it. Try to connect with the larger French world. It's not only France, it's also Switzerland. And so bring that in. Germans, exactly, they're very interested in the Caribbean. And many Germans I speak to are saying...
We need to open our doors.
To open it up, exactly. They're saying, we are tired of Punta Cana because we're not seeing.
So you think we're not doing enough to promote the island to those countries?
I think that someone like Wiebe Meijer of the SHTA is someone who thinks about these things. I think that not only the traditional market, which you should not forget that North American, think about the wider places in Europe that are also interested in, think about Latin America. I understand there's some connections of trying to think about places in Africa. I think that's important. I remember there was a course in Mandarin. There was a program to try to say, how do you bring Chinese tourists in? Many Chinese St. Martiners are in the supermarket business and so forth.
Exactly.
But there's a middle class Chinese population growing, demographic. Try to bring them in. And in that, I remember there was a program of USM whereby we said it has to be, because for this group of tourists, they're interested in leisure and business. So you need to have them be able to combine that. And then you're busy trying to extend and say, okay, this island has all that diversity. How do you then try to reach those diversities? The upper scale of India, bring them in. Yeah, that's what you have to try to do. Yeah.
Okay, great. Talking about climate change.
Yeah.
How are some of the ways we can start to tackle it, because it's here. Our hurricanes are a prime example that we have climate change. When you look at the United States right now, with all of those snowstorms and all of that flooding and wildfires and everything is being contributed to climate change. What can we here? We can't do anything over there, but we can start here. Yeah. How do you think we can start into, becoming more aware and doing little things that can change?
Yeah, yeah. Again, it's to consume ethically. There's where it starts. To say, okay, little things like plastic bags. How do you make that change?
We're getting there.
Yeah, getting there, exactly. How do you think about forms of recycling of plastic bottles. Try to do that in smarter ways. There's a lot of cars on St. Martin. Try to make it possible for buses to drive in certain, so that people don't have to constantly be in their car. These little things are things that people, and work upon, I think there's education from young, from the moment they enter primary school, make them aware. If you're going to rebuild schools or buildings, rebuild them in an ecologically friendly way, so that these youngsters who later on might, if St. Martin remains hospitality driven, might be in these establishments, and again they can be the persons teaching people who are coming in. It's important, if you want to come on this vacation, which you like, you say you love the island so much, what is your ecological footprint when you go back to the US or you go back to the Netherlands? Are you living ethically? Because indeed, St. Martin can't control, because St. Martin is not emitting all the fossil fuels. But if you have 1 million tourists coming down, you have 1 million persons that you can start to influence to change their behavior, or influence their governments and businesses so that that behavior changes. Because for the Caribbean, it's 1.5 to stay alive, and that means if the global temperature, climate temperature, raises more than 1.5, many of the Caribbean islands will be in peril, because you have more droughts, longer periods of drought, extreme heat. I was on Aruba. Now everyone needs an air condition in schools, because kids can't be taught in schools without air conditions. That's the 1.5 to stay alive. The amount of flooding that you'll have. All of these things are important, and therefore the Caribbean is crucial. And if you're not an isolated part of the globe, you're part of the globe where people are constantly coming to. You're not Tuvalu in the Pacific. You're there. So which means you can actually be one of those influencers. So it's not only that you can't control the emissions, it's true. But you have a role to play in sensitizing people across the globe. The people in Barbados, the people in Trinidad, all of these will have to think through, what are we doing?
Little steps.
Yeah, little steps. Correct.
Okay. I can't have you here without asking you about, how did you deal with the corona virus?
How did I deal with the corona?
Yes.
It was, of course, a difficult moment for everyone, because
it was a global thing, yes. It was global, and everyone was touched by it.
You have to stay inside. There was, of course, the different people with different opinions about the corona, and I recognize that discussion. For me, it was simply saying, how do I make sure that I live ethically? And if there are people who are more vulnerable, I should adapt my behavior so that I take that vulnerability into account, because I would like, this is the moral rule, that if I'm in a vulnerable position, others will take my vulnerability into account. Whatever you think about the virus, that's not the issue. Are you taking the other person's vulnerability into account? And it was about that. So I dealt with it in that way, trying to understand it, trying to engage in conversations when it was necessary, teaching online. But I just took it in stride, and I said, this is a moment of reflection. It should be a global moment of reflection. Where are we heading? I think for St. Martin, hopefully, it was a moment of reflection, that St. Martiners, in their many diversities, took the time to sit down and say, okay, we're facing this now. Are we happy with the way we were living before this thing happened? And if we're not, what are the things that we can improve and better, so that now when we move out of it, we're moving out there? Was there a moment then that St. Martin created a vision of, here's where we're moving? So that if something like that happens again, and that's only the globalization of viruses, so it's going to happen again, you'll have something like that.
You've got monkeypox now.
Voila. Exactly.
It hasn't reached the island as yet, but it's around it. It's in. And we're getting a lot of tourists, so it's going to reach here sooner or later.
Correct. So if that's the case, what's your plan? One of the things next to hospitality is the whole digital sector. that digital economy is growing. Are you schooling young people and people who are older to actually become digitally savvy, so that parts of their work, employment, can be to work from St. Martin doing certain types of services. If you are already a service economy, then you can easily have a conversation working for, I don't know, let's say an American company, and you're doing the work from St. Martin.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is part of the jobs of the future.
Right.
But to do that, you need to school your population, and you need to also, whilst you're schooling them, introduce and invite workers who know about this, so that it becomes part of your atmosphere when people see many professionals from all over the globe working on St. Martin's. Right. Oh, I can do that too. I can be that too.
Yes.
Then you're moving. So I think the digital revolution is vital. Hospitality will remain, but the hospitality of care, people in the North Atlantic are getting older, grayer. So there will be a hospitality of care, and therefore experience tourism is tied to that. They don't want fast anymore. Yes. Some want fast in the party life, but there's a part that wants care. St. Martin has to think through these things to make sure to be on the ball. I was speaking to Miguel de Weaver, I think he's the SG, and he was thinking about, indeed, I recognize the digital is vital. Not cryptocurrency and so forth, that's also, but the digital is vital. The cryptos, only some people will rise. The digital, again, is everyone can learn those computer skills to be a programmer. You can learn that.
Okay.
So a hospitality school, digital, do both.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Okay. Well, let's get to know you a little better. We're going to ask you some questions. Tell me about the best vacation you ever took.
The best vacation I ever took. It was on St. Lucia. And I was
interesting.
Yeah, I was I don't know, I was probably 11 or 12. Okay. And I had just left Aruba, and it was the first time I saw pipes that were on the street corners. People were getting water on the pipes. I'd never seen that. Okay. I was a Lago and Shelbourne, so I had running water outside of the faucet. It was good because I saw people at that time being able to live together. I'd never seen that. I had never seen so much banana plantations. I had never had so much fun in my life and I thought, wow, I didn't know this Caribbean. I knew Venezuela up and down, Miami, I had known the Bahamas and so forth, but I had never known what I then call the white gold Caribbean, where people were more agricultural. I'd never known that. It was, I enjoyed it very much as a
young man.
Little boy. I liked it very much. It was a vacation that I've never.
You were 11, so it was a little boy, right?
Yeah.
What's your favorite fruit?
Mangoes.
Okay.
Julie mangoes.
Okay. Now, I won't consider you, but I will still consider you sort of a globetrotter because you've lived all over the place. What's your favorite country?
What's my favorite country? It might sound cliche, but every time I come to St. Martin, I think, I'm here. I like it.
No, you're from here. You're from here. You know, you have a lineage from right here. A lot of people don't know that, so it's good to know. It's good to know. But if you could live anywhere else in the world besides St. Martin, where would you go?
Live anywhere else in the world besides St. Martin? That's a good question. I lived, that's something people don't know, I lived for a while in Brazil, and I actually liked Brazil a lot. I liked Salvador de Bahia very much. So that's a place that I think, you know, I was speaking to a friend of mine, Livio, and he was saying, why don't you come over for a while? So,
yeah, you never know. Yeah, you never know.
I do like Brazil very, very much.
Okay. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
If I could have one superpower, it would perhaps be, that's a good one. I think to be able to dance the many dances of the world, because I think that's the most important form of communication. Not speech, not writing, but dance. I think that is, when people are dancing, I was in the lightning parade a couple of, what was 2 days or 3 days ago. When people are dancing, there is a form of togetherness in which you respect each other's differences. You're not even busy. You recognize, of course it's different.
Yeah.
But we're having fun together. That's the ability of being an individual and a community at one and the same time. Dance allows that in a perfect balance. So if I could learn to dance the many dances, when I was in India, they were teaching me a particular kind of dance. I couldn't speak Telugu. But we danced together. They laughed and we danced. And there was a kind of communication that happened. Therefore, I think dance is vital, important. Yeah.
What's your favorite dance?
What's my favorite dance?
What could you dance to all day?
That's a good one. I like souk, I like soca, I like reggae, I like hip hop. I like many kinds of dance. When I was young, I danced break dance. I like that too.
Yeah, there we go. You go.
I like salsa with merengue with my grandma.
Okay, so you are a dancer, no matter how you turn it twisted. Yeah, nice. That's nice. What makes you laugh?
What makes me laugh? People, my daughters, I have 2 young daughters, they make me laugh. That's their behavior. I like how they have the sense that they're smarter than I am. I think that's wonderfully human. Yeah. You don't understand, Daddy. I'll tell you how it is.
Yes.
I like that very much. Yeah.
You can be very reflective. When you want to be alone, where do you go?
When I want to be alone, where do I go? It's not per se a place, but it's a it's a particular kind of breaking out of regular time, music.
Okay.
So I can listen to music every morning.
What's your favorite music?
What's my favorite music? I have many different kinds of music. I'll tell you what I listen to in the morning. Every morning I listen to Sinead O'Connor, Thank You.
Really?
That's the first song I listen to it's a kind of meditative song. And the song is, thank you for loving me, thank you for seeing me, but also thank you for hating me. Thank you for deceiving me. So I wake up every morning
Lesson to be learned.
Everything that comes to me, I have to give thanks.
Okay.
So I start with that song, and then I listen to Bob Marley's War, Until the Philosophy, and then I think, okay, this is the ethics. And that prepares me to go out in the world and say, you know, sometimes I might not be treated correctly. That's fine. Thank you. That's fine. So I listen to that, but I put on any kind of, before yesterday I was listening to Cass, and I saw Cass the band, and I like the licky tiki 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 licky tiki, and I think that's brilliant. I love that. So I just like all of that. I like Movado. I just like.
Diverse. What makes you cry?
What makes me cry? Injustice. Injustice makes me cry because I don't think that is necessary. I think everyone has a line from life to death. I can't take your line, you can't take mine. When I start, I'm living because I'm going back. That's my line. In that moment of going back, I can do many things. You cannot die for me, I can't die for you. You cannot have my pleasure, I can't have yours. So people become alienated when they think they must have what the other person now has, what the other person desires. No, this is my line, that's your line. That's why dancing comes in, because we're in our line. We're together, but we're in our line. So we're solidary together, but we're also solitary. And that dance of solidary and solitary, that. Injustice is not recognizing that. That's what injustice is. It's a mistake.
There you go. When you have a problem, who do you go to for advice?
Many persons. I also go to my wife.
Good. She's not just one person, which is good.
But many persons, definitely.
Okay. What is the best kept secret about Francio Guadeloupe?
If I tell it now, it won't be best. But I mean,
okay, what's the biggest misconception about Francio
That's the
Guadeloupe?
biggest misconception about me. I think some people think that I'm only very cerebral. They don't recognize that I'm still, or there's still in me the person who enjoyed living in Dutch Quarter. That's still in me. I still like going there. I still like when I'm there, I go to my parents and I greet Paul, and we're good. I go to John, who has a supermarket there. We were going to meet yesterday. We didn't, but we're good. And he talks about China, and I was in China, so we chatted. We're good. And that is about me. And I did many different things with my hair. So one of the things that people don't know is that I used to have this Michael Jackson thing.
Oh, the curly dad. Yes, yes.
I would never do it now. But I mean, I did like it then. I can't act as I didn't like it. I did like it then. Yeah, yeah.
Your style has changed over the years?
I'm sure.
What is one habit that you have that you don't think you would ever change?
One habit that I have that I think I will never change is that I have moments in which I need to be alone. That is quite clear. That remains. That remains. Yeah.
Okay. You need a quiet time. You need to be alone. Okay. What frustrates you, Dr. Guadeloupe?
I think that people don't recognize that the most precious resource that any place has is its people. People think that their resources are material stuff, the beaches, the minerals they have. That's not your resource. Your resource is your people. That's your main resource.
Them. Yes. Because when you look at students going to the Netherlands to study, and they're not really anxious or interested, to get back home, to come back home. They've made a life for themselves over there. And then when they come home and they want to come home, there's nothing here for them. One of the things that disappoints me, that I'm disappointed at every year, is the shortage of teachers. You know, and we're not doing enough to bring our own people back home. They go away to study, and the sad thing is, and it has happened to me, and it's happened to every parent whose child has gone away. Once that child leaves you, he never comes back the same. He or she never comes back the same. You know?
Of course, I mean.
So when you say goodbye to them, that's it. You know, you've left the little child is leaving, or that young adult has left, but they will never be the same when they get back home.
There was a book project on a filmmaker, and I did the preface. It's called Enkeltje Schiphol, or One Way to Schiphol. And of course, if you are 17, 18, sometimes 16, leaving, you're leaving in the time in which you're going to make life. And you're making that life somewhere else. So those years from, let's say, 17 to 20-something, you experienced elsewhere. Your coming of age, you experienced elsewhere.
You experience life.
It makes it more difficult.
You never experienced it before.
Correct. It makes it more difficult. If you think about St. Maarten, let's say metaphorically, as a mother, any mother wants their children to thrive. And they say, oh, grow up and do your stuff. And if they did it well, their children will always look back and say, Mom, are you okay? Papa, everything is good. And that's the contribution coming back. That's the brain circulation that is needed. Not everyone will come back.
True.
But even those that leave and thrive, if you do it well, they will always look back and say, St. Maarten, you're fine. I look back from time to time and say, St. Maarten, you're fine. I don't get involved in the politics and so forth, but I still look back and say, St. Maarten, you're fine.
Growing up in Dutch Quarter, I know you had a nickname. What was the most absurd nickname that you ever had?
I had many nicknames.
I can imagine.
The Real McCoy, because I was a band with Benicio Brooks. We were the new recruits.
I know Benicio. Okay, Tonka's son.
We were. So he had his father had a studio.
A studio, right?
And thus we would go on the motorcycles and then go to Tonka's studio and make music together. That was. Yeah, so I was called the real McCoy.
The real McCoy, okay.
Because I thought I was good at breakdancing, so yeah.
Okay, where did you learn to break dance? Because there weren't videos at those back then. Yeah, exactly.
I learned, I think, earliest in front of Principal Theater in Aruba. There was these cardboards that people would put down, and then you would break dance. I had older cousin Sergio, who was into the OJs, so I liked the OJs. And then I had a bit older, he was Erwin, and Erwin was in the Jackson 5.
Okay.
So you see how these things. So whilst they were dancing, I want you back, and so forth. I was the younger cousin. I could never go to the parties, but
I know I
was the little cousin who would be practicing with the bigger boys because I wanted to learn it.
Right.
And then later on, break dance came in, the electric boogie and so forth. So then I had my opportunity to do some of that.
Okay. Wow. Good. That's a good one. Yeah. Your favorite food?
My favorite food. I like locrio.
Okay.
Because that's what my grandmother used to make, a kind of very good Dominican locrio. So I like locrio.
Nice.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Do you cook?
I cook, yeah.
And when you do cook, what do you cook?
I cook, this is interesting, because I don't eat meat. So I cook. Yeah. I cook, but my daughters like meat, so I cook meat for them.
Oh,
and
good.
my wife likes meat.
Really?
And then yesterday I cooked a kind of red rice with support, and then I cooked some sausages for them, some beef sausages, and I cooked vegetables, and I ate the rice, and they ate the sausage. One of them eats sausages, and the other one is like me; she doesn't eat any kind of meat and so on. So I have two who do different things. Yeah.
Do you cook often?
I cook often because cooking is also a mode of relaxation, mode of
for you?
being there.
It stresses me out.
It stresses you out.
It stresses me out because I'm always cooking in a hurry. I want to get it there. You know what I mean? I want to get it on the stove, and anything that can be cooked in 30 minutes or less won't get cooked by me.
No, I come home.
But I've known several people who've said that cooking relaxes them. Yeah.
Just
the kitchen is too hot.
Well, if you're in the cold, you hope it's hot.
Yes. I love cooking. Yes. I love cooking when I'm away, but not here necessarily. Dr. Guadeloupe, message to the island. You know, what would you like them to know? What's the best piece of advice you can give us at this point? Because right now, we need all the help we can get. We are stuck right now with, being torn in so many directions. I think you would be one of the best people to talk to us. What message can you leave with us? How can we become inspired?
There's 2 or 3 messages I got from my grandmother, Elsa, that I really. One was, and I think this is a general Caribbean message. No one is better than you, and you are not better than anyone else.
Okay.
That I learned. So, radical equality.
Right.
A different way she brought it to me was there was a time in which the West Indies was busy with. There were some West Indian players that went to South Africa during the apartheid era, and people were nasty towards them. So I was telling her about this. I came home from school, and she was sweeping, and she says, "Never forget, we're all in the mud." And she kept sweeping.
Yeah.
That was, again, a radical reminder of, from the Rastafaris, I learned, ever forward.
Okay.
There is no need to constantly be looking back at your wounds. Ever forward. Yes, people came from slavery and indenture and all these types of things, but ever forward. Where are you moving now? How are you making sure that your children, my children, I have 4, that they think, okay, we've seen you move here. You never told us because of things we can't make it. No, there's a value in work.
Okay.
So I've given them the 3 inheritance, the value of money, don't be squandering, the value of hard work, the value of education. You can give your children these 3 values. They don't need to have heavy inheritances. That's their inheritance, because then they think, I must work. They think continuing education, and they think, I'm working, education, to be able to have money, not to spend and to be bling bling and to show.
Right.
but because I'm part of this world.
Okay.
Yeah, those three.
Dr. Guadeloupe, thank you so much. And I look forward to having you back again.
January,
on your
come
next
to
trip.
The course.
Okay.
Everyone who go to the USM, there are 2 courses taking place. I will teach the course personally. I'll be there. Okay. So I hope to see everyone on St. Maarten there in January, and let's have conversations with one another. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, everyone, we've come to the end of the program. My guest today was Dr. Francio Guadeloupe. And yeah, we spoke about basically what is happening on the island and his views, as well as what he's done in the past at the University of St. Maarten. And I'm so glad I had the opportunity to speak with him. Let me also thank the Windward Islands Bank and Caribbean Alliance Insurances for always being there. And until next time, I'll be back with another informative program. Thank you for joining me, and do enjoy the rest of your evening from all of us here at PJD2, 1300 AM, PJD3, 102.7 FM, the voice of St. Maarten. Bye-bye now.